Denzel Washington absolutely obliterates woke culture. You guys have got to check this out.
Who you wound up supporting in the election, presidential election?
None of your business.
None of my business?
None of your business.
In a world dominated by political correctness and divisive narratives, some voices dare to challenge the status quo. One such voice is Denzel Washington, a Hollywood legend who isn't afraid to speak his mind on race, politics, and the real issues facing society today. Today, we explore how Denzel Washington dismantles the so-called woke culture with wisdom, clarity, and brutal honesty. Let's take a closer look at his thoughts and the deeper message behind them.
What do you think about that?
I don't have to think about it. I've lived it. I've been the guy at the Oscars without my name being called. I've been the guy at the Oscars when my name is called. I've been the guy at the Oscars when everybody thought they was going to call my name and they didn't. So I've lived it.
So what would you say to the people who are looking at this process and saying it's unfair?
Yeah, and so what? You gonna give up? If you're looking for an excuse, you'll find one.
In race.
You can find it wherever you like. You can't live like that. You just do the best you can do.
Denzel sets the tone by addressing a question about discrimination in the Oscars. His message is clear. Justifications and excuses are easy to find, but progress is only achieved through persistence and hard work. Denzel's response here is a direct challenge to the victimhood mentality, often encouraged by woke culture. Instead of dwelling on discrimination, he emphasizes personal responsibility and resilience. His message is clear. While injustices exist, success comes from persistence, not blaming the system. This is an empowering outlook that shifts the conversation from feeling oppressed to overcoming challenges through hard work. Building on this idea of personal responsibility and resilience, Denzel's thoughts on race and culture offer a deeper perspective on how we can bridge divides without relying on surface-level solutions.
So why did he need a black director? Could a white director not have
It's not
produced this
color,
work?
it's culture.
Explain the difference, because I think we're
Steven
in a space
Spielberg
right
did Schindler's List.
now. Mm-hmm.
Martin Scorsese did Goodfellas, right? Steven Spielberg could direct Goodfellas. Martin Scorsese probably could have done a good job with Schindler's List, but they're cultural differences. You know, I know, you know, we all know what it is when a hot comb hits your hair on a Sunday morning, what it smells like. That's a cultural difference, not just a color difference.
He's absolutely right about both things he said. Number one, everyone's looking for an excuse nowadays. When I was a kid and I was crying over some nonsense that happened, saying, it's not fair, my parents would always say back to me, life's not fair, get over it. That's exactly what Denzel Washington is preaching here. If you go through life complaining about every mishap that happens to you, instead of putting your best foot forward and just focusing on the task at hand, you're going to live a sad, miserable life. All that you can do is what's in front of you at the present moment. You can't worry about what happened in the past. You can't worry about what happened in the future. Just give your best right now. Tomorrow is never promised. And in regards to culture, he's also right. Because it doesn't matter what race, religion you are. It all comes back to culture and how you were raised. You can be an African American and a great upbringing. You can go to Harvard, Yale on a full scholarship, and you can conquer this world. Or you can be in the exact same scenario, but your dad left. You have no father figure in your life, and then you turn to a life of crime. It all comes down to your character and life lessons that were taught to you at a young age. So when you see ultra successful people out there in the world, a large reason why they're there is the life lessons that were taught to them and applied at a young age. So I think the values that you impart on your children are far more determinant than whatever skin color they happen to be.
Scorsese directing Goodfellas speaks volumes. It's not just about who's behind the camera, but what experiences they bring to the story. This perspective goes against the grain of woke culture, which tends to focus heavily on identity markers like race. Denzel's approach shows that cultural understanding, not simply race, is key to telling authentic stories and making real connections. This focus on culture rather than race naturally leads into Denzel's critique of how information and misinformation affects our worldview. In a world overloaded with opinions, how do we find the truth?
So what is the long-term effect of too much information? The polarization of the electorate? A meaner-spiritedness?
False information as well, because the whole fake news thing.
Pick one. It's not just one. That's the flavor of the day. Every day is something else. People have to understand Are you using your device or is your device using you? Can you put it down? Can you turn it off?
You're talking about literally the places people get their information from.
I don't care what information. Pick one. Phone, television. You know, it used to be news. Now it's opinion news. Oh, glasses. We have 3 experts on the right, 3 on the left. Let's discuss. Ooh, light bulbs. We have 3 experts on the right. That's not news. What is the long-term effect of too much information? If you're sitting there and you're thinking it's the gospel, what I'm saying to people is, to all of us, I'm not knocking the phone. What I'm saying is we have to understand, we have to at least ask ourselves, around the world, you here in England, wherever you are, what is it doing to us?
I think this is what I think. I think we as Americans better learn to unite. I think we as Americans need to put our elected officials' feet to the fire and demand that they work together, or they won't get back in office. You know, in this age we live in, this accelerated information age, we're getting further and further apart. We're not getting together, we're getting further and further and further apart. Everybody can't be right. But I think this is an opportunity, actually. You see how people are being energized and protesting and all that. But I think this is an opportunity for us to look at ourselves as a country and say, are we together, really? And are we holding our elected officials accountable to making sure that they're working together? Not just, hey, you're on your side, I win what I win, you win what you win. Because this is what is happening. This is what's happening. And God only knows where it's going.
This advice is more applicable now than ever because we live in a day and age where everybody receives information, but they're in an echo chamber. They only want to hear what applies to them and they don't want to hear any contrary opinions. If you only watch Fox News, you are being programmed. If you're only watching CNN, MSNBC, you are being programmed. It's almost like you are being brainwashed to hate the other side. But it just seems in this divisive world we're in today, if you have contrary opinions, a lot of people on the other side might despise you, might hate you, and they don't even actually know you for who you are. They only know you for your beliefs. It does not help when the political leaders that we elect to office actively attack the other side. Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, calling us deplorables, irredeemable, trash. If the people we put in charge talk to the other side like that, it's no wonder that the supporters do the exact same. Why are we electing people who are making us even more divided than we were initially? It's time to unite as a country and start focusing on our similarities rather than our differences.
It's important to make headway in our own house. By the time the system comes into play, the damage is done. They're not locking up 7-year-olds.
Yeah.
You know, I was in Chicago a couple of 3-4 weeks ago, and we saw these little kids on bikes with masks on the side of their head, like 5 or 6 of them. And the driver said, yeah, they're little yummies. I said, who? He said, little yummies. Look up, Google Little Yummy. Little Yummy was an 11-year-old murderer.
Wow.
And you look at his picture, you'll see the headshot of him, he's like this. And he got murdered at 11 by a 14-year-old.
Wow.
Who's doing life now, and a 16-year-old.
That makes no sense.
You blame the system? Where was his father? Yeah. It starts in the house. It starts in the home. And yeah, well, my father got locked up. Well, where was his father?
Yeah.
You know, like I did talk about my 3 closest friends, and they did, 15 and 25. One did 28, this and that. I was the only one of the 3 that had a father in my life, even though my parents were together. But I still had a father who was a gentle man and a good example, and they didn't. We can blame the system if we want, but they didn't lock any of us up at 7.
Yeah.
We were all doing enough to get locked up at 13. My parents sent me in another direction. They didn't have anybody to help them, and they kept doing what they was doing, and the system got them. So race relationships have to do with race relationships. You're white or whatever you are, I'm black or whatever I am. We're standing here talking now. That's how we get things done. You can't legislate love. The President of the United States can't legislate us into liking each other. We have to step forward and ask questions about each other and engage. There's no law that says, oh, because I'm president, you all got to get along now. So it's up to us.
Society is programming us to view certain people certain ways based off of their race. If you treat me with respect, I'm going to treat you with respect 10 times out of 10. Why don't we start viewing each other for the race that actually matters? The human race. We all belong to the same human race. We all have problems, issues, concerns in our own life. A large reason that we are so divided and fractured as a nation has to do with the mainstream media and the news. Because like it or not, it seems like they want us divided. Because the longer that we fight each other, the longer that they get away with whatever they want to get away with. And they know if left to our own devices, eventually we would figure this out. They want us fighting one another so that we would never fight the true enemy, which is them. Julius Caesar said this 2,000 years ago. He says, give them bread and circuses and they will never revolt. Everything we see in life is almost like a distraction from the real issues that are plaguing our society. I've always had a deep respect for the man because he actually says it how it is. He's not afraid of the backlash that might ensue for speaking the truth. And that is such a rare quality in Hollywood nowadays. He's not reading off some script that Steven Spielberg wrote. He's actually speaking from the heart. He's saying what he truly believes. He's a man of conviction, and you can tell just by the way he talks. More Hollywood actors need to follow the mold that Denzel Washington set, and our society will be far better off for it. I can almost guarantee you this man was not on P. Diddy's Island or Jeffrey Epstein, because he seems like a truly humble, good dude. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this down below. Can you think of any other Hollywood celebrities like Denzel Washington that you admire to the same esteem? Let me know. I would love to hear that. And if you enjoyed, make sure to smash that like, comment, subscribe, and wish you guys nothing but the best. Till next time.